Now, quitting alcohol in itself is very hard, and quitting alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs in your 20s is an absolute nightmare. It's a total another ball game. It's a monster. And why I say this, it's because it's not only you're fighting against your urge, your addiction, and your inner demons, you're also fighting against the people around you. You're fighting against society, and you're fighting against the entire world. Because drinking is so common. Forget a guy telling that I'm going to quit drinking. When you say that you don't drink in your 20s, especially in today's society, people is going to laugh at you. People will not believe you, even if they believe you, right? Even if it sounds very truthful that you quit drinking, they'll be like, why? What's wrong with you? They'll start saying things and start imposing ideologies that make you feel that you're doing something wrong, that makes you feel that you being sober, you not consuming alcohol and drugs, there's something wrong with you. And them consuming all of these, you must actually look up to them. That's how they impose all these ideas. They impose all these values on you. And why I say this is because recently, not recently, I would say in 2021, I went to this family friend gathering. All right. And this was around almost 1.5 year. Oh, wait. I quit drinking in 2019 December. This was 2021 October. So almost 2 years of me being completely free from alcohol. I go to the family friend gathering, and there are three families there, and they offered me drinks, and I said no. I politely declined, like, no, I don't drink anymore. And then they again, after 5-10 minutes, they offered me again. I said no, I don't drink. And then after 5 minutes, they offered me again, but this time it was more forceful. There was more pressure under that, and I declined. And this happened like 5-6 times, and I declined each time. And I was just living there, and I was just living in the moment and enjoying the vibe, the people. I was talking to everybody there, and then this one guy, he comes up to me, and he's like, "Why don't you drink? Every actor drinks, every musician drinks, every movie star drinks. You're not drinking? Why? Huh?" And this is not some guy in his 20s or 30s. This guy is literally 57, 58 years old at that time. And he's coming and telling me this. And he was literally forcing me to drink because everybody was drinking. And he was forcing that idea that I should drink. And then the host, it was some lady's house. And she comes to the conversation. She joins in and is like, you must not restrict yourself like this. You have to enjoy. 2-3 shots won't hurt. Now I've gone through so much pain, effort to overcome this alcoholic addiction. And then when they offered me like that, it was already very hard for me to resist. It was already very hard because at that point of time, I still had the urges kick in. Only after 3 years, I was completely free from the urge. Right now, I can see people drinking. I can walk inside a club. The air will be filled with smoke. There'll be alcohol all around, and I will not have the urge to drink. But at that time, I was not feeling like this. I still had the urge, but it was very subtle. And when they were enforcing me to drink, when they're forcing me to consume alcohol, I felt that urge start to kick in. Start to kick in. And more than anger, more than resentment, I felt shocked. Because these were not friends, all right? These were family friends, so and so called the well-wishers, who were in their 40s, 50s, late 50s. They have children of their own. They have sons and daughters. And they're promoting degeneracy. They're promoting this alcohol consumption. To me, I declined in the first initial time. That's okay. I'm not worried about that. But no matter how much I declined, they did not take no for an answer. They did not take no. This person is not comfortable consuming alcohol. They didn't see the line. They still started enforcing their ideologies. They started enforcing whatever they wanted to do, and then they're forcing that alcohol consumption on me. And I was so in shock. I couldn't process for a minute or two. I couldn't really process like what's happening, because I looked up to them. They used to give me advice and stuff. Like, obviously they're older than me, they're elder to me, they're wiser than me. And then at this moment, I snapped. I didn't react, but my version that I had for them, my what do you call that? It is not respect. It's my how I view them as a person completely shifted, completely snapped, completely changed. And then I realized like there's so many people who are trying to quit alcohol like me. And quitting itself is a big animal. And then when you have to deal with society like this, and that is why it is so hard for us to quit alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs. Because even when you quit, right, you can do all the inner work, you can fight off all your inner demons, and when you come out to any event, you will have people around you enforcing, forcing you to drink. And at that moment, I sort of gained this wisdom. There's some spiritual download or something that happened, and I realized like me not consuming alcohol is actually tapping into their insecurities. And that happens to you too. When you start this journey of self improvement and start quitting your vices, you go into any social situation or any situation where you used to consume alcohol and people are serving alcohol, and you go sit there. And when you decline alcohol and everybody is consuming alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs, and you're just sitting there that you don't want to do that, it kind of makes them feel insecure, and they start feeling this emotion like, what, do you think you're better than us just because you don't drink, just because you follow self-improvement? You think you're better than us just because you're giving up your vices? And they have this feeling, this insecurity. And at that moment, I don't know how, but I realized that. So that realization prevented me from getting angry, from lashing out, from snapping, or from just leaving. This realization helped me to stay in control, helped me to stay in my state and not give in to my urges, neither go fight with them and be angry that they're forcing something that I don't like, that I don't consent to. And this is when you have to realize, because you will come across various situations in your life when you're trying to quit your vice, when you're trying to be this enlightened being, because people are going to come and tell right up to your face, who do you think you are? You think you're some enlightened God, an enlightened being come down from the heavens? What kind of bloke do you think you are? You think you're better than us? And that's the feeling, and that's the reason why you start losing so many of these friends, or so many of these people who you call the friends, who you thought were your friends. And when you start improving, and that's what I explain why you start losing friends when you follow self-improvement. I mean, I'll link that video down below and you can go watch that. So when you start losing these people, and sometimes you lose people out of love because they've known you for the guy, for being the person who consumes alcohol, who consumes drugs. When you start changing, it kind of enforces this shift in your identity and a shift in their identity, because the way they view you also changes when you're shifting your state. Now, how do you actually deal with the people at that moment? You're aware of all this, you know this is going to happen. So when the moment comes, when people are trying to enforce alcohol upon you, what you have to do is, because at that point in time, it's so easy for you to lash out and even throw a punch in their face, or get angry, or even give in to your urges. So what you have to do, realize at that point, at that moment in time, when people are pressurizing you, when the whole room is drinking, and you are just sitting there calm, you're not indulging in any of your vices, you're just overcome all these vices and you don't want to go back again, but still at that moment you feel the urge. You have to get more oxygen in your brain, because at that point in time, your heart is beating fast, your mind is racing faster, and your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that's responsible for decision making and making smart decisions, is kind of getting dormant. And that what do you call it? That impulsive part of your brain is kind of getting active. Like, all these components combine together and make you act in an impulse, make you act in an emotional state. But at that moment, what you have to do is get more oxygen. Now you can do this easily by adding breath work. Take a deep breath in, take a couple deep breaths in, and breathe out. You can take a deep breath in, hold it in for a long period of time. You can take a deep breath for 4 seconds, hold it for 6 seconds, and let it out for 8 seconds. Now you don't have to do it in front of them. You can be like, let me use the washroom. I'll come back in 2 minutes. Go somewhere, don't go very far. They'll think you ditched them. Go somewhere outside that zone. Take some deep breaths in. Breathe in, hold, and breathe out. This allows more oxygen flow in your brain and kind of calms you down and gets you thinking back again. Because when you act out of impulsivity, the result is not always, very pleasant. And most of the time, you have that fear. We have that fear to fight and go against the people who we know. It's like we have established a comfort zone around them. We don't want to lose them, so we're afraid to fight with them and tell and push like extreme hard boundaries. So what do? We give in to our urges. When 10 people in the room, your family friends, your best friends, your family are all drinking, and you have just quit drinking, come sit there and they're forcing it upon you, you are not going to go and lash out on them. That's very rare. Even though you want to, most of the times it's like that bondage we have for them holds us back, and we give in to our urges, give in to the pressure, we fold under that pressure, and we consume that alcohol. And then when you consume that, it's like relapse. You're relapsing back into that addictive patterns, because when you're gone a certain number of days without any substance, you're resetting your dopamine levels. You're resetting your mind to experience life as it is without the high. And when it's about to be accustomed to this state, and then you just take a one shot, it's going to hit you real bad. It's like this flush of emotions, flush of dopamine in your brain, in your mind, and just one shot will get you high, more high than consuming 5, 6 shots before. And then it becomes so much more harder to quit. So you come along this way and you drink that one shot, you get that rage, you get that, that intensity of alcohol in your bloodstream, or nicotine in your bloodstream, or any other substance in your bloodstream. It raises the dopamine levels, and it becomes so much more harder to quit, because the next day, when this dies down, and your body flushes it out, and you're not high anymore, and you become sober, there's this huge drop in all that high emotions that you experienced, and then you want to consume that again. Because before consuming this, your emotional state, your well-being, your brain was here. After consuming, it went up to the skies. And then the next day, it's down. It's ground zero. It's minus. It's below ground zero. And then to feel normal again, you want to take this. You'll feel like taking, because I'm saying this because I have experienced this. I went certain months without consuming anything. And I just had one glass of beer. It was just 200, 250 ml. I just had one glass of beer, and the emotions that hit me, that intensity of that alcohol, man, it felt like the strongest drug in the world. And after that, it was so hard. And after that, I couldn't go 2 days without drinking. I drank every other day. And then I had to relearn, redo what I was doing. And then it took me 6 months more to quit all these vices. And that is why you have to deal with that urge. When that urge arises, especially when there's pressure around you, even in any family gatherings, there's so much pressure around you, forcing you to drink, you feel like you're the odd one out. Everybody out there is drinking. Everybody out there is smoking. Everybody out there is doing drugs. You feel like you're the odd one out. Even if you don't feel, they'll make you feel like you're the odd one out. They'll make you feel there's something wrong, inherently wrong with you. And you feel you have the fear of missing out. You have the fear of losing the people that you love, losing the people that you know, the fear of abandonment. And with this FOMO, with this so much fear, you give in. You fold under pressure. So don't. Go outside, go to the washroom, take some deep breaths, come back in, and realize that they are feeling insecure. They're feeling that you think that you're better than everybody else. And when you get that realization, it is much more easier for you to calm yourself down, and then you just have to deal with that. Just to be stoic, you just have to be like a mountain, standing by your grounds, putting boundaries, and holding on to your inner values and principles. And this, all right, at that moment, it may be very intense. You'll feel like they're against you, but the next time you go meet them, they will actually respect you. You would have earned so much more respect, because later when I met the people who were trying to enforce alcohol upon me, I saw much more respect in their eyes. And if they gave you a certain amount of pressure and alcohol for you to drink, and you folded and you drank, they will think like, okay, this person is putting on just a front, just putting on a front, and the person will fold under pressure, and they'll take advantage of you. So be very mindful of what is going on in your surroundings. Be very mindful of the urges and your thoughts. Get that blood flowing. Go do some inner deep breaths. Get into realization that this is going to happen. You cannot ignore it. You cannot close your eyes and avoid it, but you can deal with them. You don't have to go confront and lash out and be upfront in their face. You can set boundaries, be stoic like a mountain, acknowledge it, but don't indulge yourself in any of your vices nor any of their pressure. And this is how you deal with people who are trying to enforce alcoholic consumption on you or degenerate behavior on you. And this is why it's so hard to quit drinking in your 20s. And it's only going to get harder and harder. But let me assure you, once you quit these vices, once you start following this journey of de-addiction, you become powerful, you become stronger, and your mind becomes so much more clear. And then you understand so much more. There's a spiritual download that happens. You understand your surroundings more. You understand, human emotions and social dynamics even more. So keep this in mind. Realize that you're stronger than you think you are. You can overcome anything. It may be hard at first, but it is not impossible.